So we've been married for 10 years now, and we thought we would share our 10 tips in less than 10 minutes. Yeah?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, about being married. No.
Our life.
Our life, yeah. So in the first 3 years, we moved 5 times across 2 cities and 2 countries.
We spent our first Christmas on an overnight train while I was 7 months pregnant.
Then we moved cities for the birth of our second son.
Then we moved internationally with a 6-month-old and a almost 2-year-old to a new country.
Yep. And then a couple of years later, our third son was born, or third child, who is a son. So if that doesn't break your marriage, I don't know what will. But to start off things, the one thing we did before we got married is discuss this word, which is divorce. What do you think of this word, divorce?
No.
Yeah, so before we even got married, we discussed the word divorce and how we wouldn't allow it to come into our marriage. So when divorce is not an option, it means when we face hard times, you have to
work it out.
You have to work it out. Yeah, you have to work it out. And statistically, most marriages fail in year 1 and 2 or year 5 and 8. And we've beaten both those statistics.
Woohoo!
So, what are your learnings so far?
Working well together as a team, so giving each other the task that they are strong in, and coming together as a team and working well. So things like, obviously Ashwin does the hard working part of it to earn the money, and I'm good at financing the money, and then everything else kind of just falls into place within the family, and we just come together and work together really well.
Yeah, my first big learning was don't go to bed angry. Don't let the sun go down when you're angry with each other, because in the morning it always sounds or feels worse than it actually was at the time that the argument happened. So if you can work out the problem, don't go to bed until the problem is solved and you go to bed saying sorry to each other.
The next thing I learned was making sure that we make time for one another. So right now we're at a stage where going out for like a night date just does not work because we have a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and it's really hard to get a babysitter these days. So for us, is we make time for each other in the morning while the kids are at school. It's going out on like a date morning. So just making time for one another and making sure you still do dates even 10 years after being married.
So this one is for the guys. When your wife or partner comes to you and says, or comes and shares a problem with you, resist the urge of giving them the answer, because they don't want the answer. They just want somebody to listen to their problem, and then they'll solve it themselves, or they'll finally ask for help. Let them verbalize it, because they're trying to verbalize their emotional state rather than the actual problem. It's something I still struggle with, but yes.
You're learning.
Learning, yes. Listen.
Another thing is remembering to appreciate what each other do, and not take for granted the things that they do in the house, in the family, and make sure you always say thank you as well so they feel appreciated.
Yeah, it's the little things, like just when Bekki's cleaning up, or she cleans up dinner or makes dinner, saying thank you for making dinner. She didn't have to do that. Even though it is the roles we chose, it still needs to be appreciated, yeah. And then the next one is finding ways to remind each other that you love them. And this is actually something that Bekki's really taught me. When she'll be out in the shop, she might pick up my favorite jellies and say, hey, I was thinking of you. And for me, I might buy flowers or just leave a note with her coffee saying, have a nice day, or I love you, and keep saying I love you. Yeah.
The communication is really important in a marriage. I think never holding things in and let each other know how you're feeling. Communicate well through things, and
don't let the emotions fester.
Yeah.
Because that build-up is really what causes the explosive fight, because we haven't communicated how we're feeling. If something small is agitating us, then over time it starts compounding. So rather than let it compound, if we speak to each other about it, say, this is how I'm feeling, not trying to hurt you, but this is what I'm feeling. Is there a compromise? Can we work something out? Or just expressing that might help the other person understand where you're coming from.
And also communicating on what you're doing for the week, or making sure that you can know exactly what each other are doing. You're in together for the week, you know what's going on, and that's also how you kind of work well together through communication as well.
And finances, so important to communicate how much we actually have in the bank, making sure that we're sharing that information, budgeting. We run over this week, what can we do to accommodate that? If we are transparent and open about our financial situation, whether we're struggling or not struggling, that then allows the other person to understand where you're coming from, how much budget we actually had, and then make a plan around that. The other big thing, I think, is learning to prioritize, or figuring out what your priorities are. And so for me, it's faith first, which is God, then my wife, Bekki, then my kids, and then everything else, whether it's work, friends, etc. And learning to prioritize that. And notice how I said kids came after wife. If you take care of your wife, you take care of your spouse, then the kids will be happy too. Whereas if you have contention, or if you're fighting with your wife, it's going to be tough for your kids as well. So prioritizing your wife before your kids is an important aspect of a fruitful marriage.
A very important thing in marriage is to make sure that you acknowledge when you are wrong. I know it is a very hard thing to do, and sometimes you just do not want to do it, but make sure that you always say sorry, and things can end well. I think if you don't say sorry, or you don't acknowledge that you're wrong, it can cause a lot of tension and a lot of hardship in your marriage.
Yeah, and I think encouraging one another to pursue their, giftings. So like really seeing their gifts, maybe they're like uncut diamonds and it needs to be polished, and if we encourage those skills, those gifts, then they shine and you shine, and both are happier for it. I think the last and most important point is to say I love you back and forth. Just a reminder that we don't take that for granted 10 years down the line.
I love you.
So that's 10 years in less than 10 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this new series on the fruitful family. I hope to do more. Let us know in the comments, what was your favorite takeaway? We look forward to seeing you. As always, be true, be you, stay fruitful.